We know this morning as well the names of now all 22 people so far police say were killed by the gunman, the number of victims so far released. CBC News confirming this morning Joy and Peter Bond are among the dead. A social media post says the couple lived in Portapique, where the violence began late Saturday. Investigators have been searching 5 homes that were all destroyed by fire. There's no word if that search for victims is now complete. But here are the photos of all 22, each one leaving friends and loved ones to mourn. We'll hear from some of their families and friends later in the hour with their remembrances. In Portapique, though, this morning, home of those last 2 victims to be identified. That is, of course, where the violence all began on Saturday night. And once again, Brett Ruskin is there. Here's a live picture of the scene. You can see the police vehicles along that Portapique Beach Road. And Brett, I don't know if you're hearing anything from police directly so far this morning, but maybe as we begin this hour, you can tell us what has been happening there on that scene and what the latest is with the investigation.
Well, sure. The scene, again, just down this road here, many officers have already arrived. We've seen, both regular officers, kind of RCMP vehicles, as well as military vehicles. And that is an interesting part of this. The military has been participating and assisting the RCMP in their investigation. And in fact, here comes one of the vehicles now. I believe this one is an RCMP vehicle. And so the military has been kind of coming and going, setting up kind of logistical support, whether it be, tents, tables, generators, things to assist the forensics staff as well as the investigators in their ongoing investigation here, as well as at other sites. Again, there's 16 different crime scenes as part of this mass shooting. And so there's just a huge area that needs to be covered. And so that logistical support being offered by the military is one way that they can help the RCMP.
We did not hear from police yesterday, no media briefing, but we got a rather comprehensive release from them. And what were the main things we learned in that, Brett?
Well, sure. The main takeaway, obviously, was the increase in the number of victims, now 22 victims. We also heard a quick update on the timeline, whether with a call, the first couple of calls coming into 911 on Saturday evening around 10:30 p.m. We thought that it was perhaps a little bit later than that originally. We also heard just a slight mention in that release about the RCMP saying they're looking at all avenues, looking at all aspects of this investigation, including whether or not someone assisted the suspect in this case. We don't know exactly what that means or in what way someone could have assisted this suspect. We also heard that the RCMP confirmed that the uniform used by the shooter was an authentic RCMP uniform. So there was question as to whether or not it was just clothing that looked like it or whether it was a real RCMP uniform. The police did confirm that it was an authentic uniform.
And are we expecting any further updates from police today, Brett?
I have a call into RCMP to see if they're going to opt for, a news conference with questions, live questions from reporters, which we always obviously take live here on CBC News Network, or we'll get that news release again. But at some point in the next few days, we will be expecting kind of a more thorough timeline from police. That's what they've promised us in the next few days. But still waiting to hear back as to what the plan is for this day's release of information about the latest in this investigation across this part of the province that has gripped this part of the province. Heather.
Brett, thank you very much. And just stand by if you would. We'll talk a little bit later on about the memorial behind you and more about the tributes to the victims with Brett later in the hour.